You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls hosted by Reverend D. Dunn.
Charles Stewart.
A church without walls is a foundation that deal with issues concerning the church and the community. But we come to you live because we are looking for solutions to the problems that we are dealing with each and every day. A church without walls is here for you. It is a community talk show. You have a voice. It's up to you to use your voice, but we want to hear from you. And remember, you can always call in at 504-341-8255. I need to get this announcement out of the way. A Church Without Walls is doing a fundraiser, an all-white affair, on Saturday, July the 30th, 2016, from 6 until. It will be featuring Norris Byers, a talent show and food. It will be held at 7601 West Bank Expressway. The tickets are $25. You can call myself, D. Dunn, at 504-606-7754, or Charles Stewart at 504-957-6392. And we will give you that information also later on in the show. So today we want to continue our conversation about how do the healing begin. First of all, the Church Without Walls New Orleans Talk Show would like to send out our deepest condolences to the officers that was killed in Baton Rouge and in Dallas. So we here at the Church Without Walls, we are praying for you all, and not only for you all, but also for the victims of police violence. So we are praying for all of you all, and we want to talk about those issues because the healing needs to begin. And prayerfully, something will be said today about how do the healing begin, because this is too much bloodshed on both sides, not only with the officers, but also with the Black men in our community. So we here at the New Orleans Talk Show want to talk about that today. How do the healing begin? We're so happy to have Elder Dr. Glenda Williams sharing with us again, and also Gail Scott Gillespie, who's our special guest, and she was the past president of the East Bank NAACP for 10 years. So right now, we really want to talk about that. How do the healing begin? You can get in on the conversation by calling 504-341-8255. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a Church Without Walls foundation, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We want to begin our show today by talking about an issue that is far too familiar with my nephew, Warwick Dunn. As you know, over 20-some years ago, Warwick Dunn's mother was working a detail in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And upon doing that, there was some guys that plotted to kill and rob her because she would be making their drop. So this is not something, an assault even on police officers, because Warwick Dunn's mother, she's my niece, and she was Black, and the guys that plotted against her was also Black. So we don't want to deal with the issues of police being targeted as a Black issue, a Black and white issue. We want to talk about the healing of the community. How do we as a people get through these issues, how do the healing begin? You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. So our topic for today is, how do the healing begin? Dr. Williams, you want to start us off today?
Well, I believe, and first I want to say that I'm glad to be here sharing with you all again on today. I'm just have a little sadness in my heart because of everything that has transpired. And true, it is not a black and a white issue, because we can't look at it as that, because we all live here in this country and we are all human beings. We all have emotions and feelings, and we all have some hurt that's down on the inside of us. And so first of all, the healing begins is that we've got to go back to our first love. And we've got to begin to pray. We've got to begin to unify. We've got to begin to love on one another, and not love one another because of color or because of race, but love one another because God created us all in his image. The Bible did not tell us that he just created the black man and he just created the white man, but he said he created all in his image. And I think that when we begin to look at one another as part of this body that we are in within this country, and begin to love and open up our hearts to the differences that we have, and begin to communicate and understand one another differences, then I think that the healing process can begin. But we have to first open up our minds and open up our hearts.
Charles, last week we also talked about the 1 or 2% that was actually creating this violence, and we'll say creating this violence because we're living in this type of society. So we talked about that last week, that we should not allow the 1 or 2% to put us in a position of fear.
You are correct. The 1 or 2%, they always make the most noise. I don't know how they're able to get it. They're able to dominate the radio and they're on television. If you notice, like on the news, they, in my opinion, they do everything but report the news in the correct way. And what I mean about that is that the young man who shot those policemen yesterday, it's the same identical background that the young man did the killing in Dallas. And both of them, the military are training them. And what I'm afraid is happening in the country is that it's almost like you get a wound, you get cut or something, or you break something. That always going to worry you what happened. It got a wound that done open up in the United States, and we're going to have to come together, as Elder William was saying a minute ago, and you're going to have to go back to your first love to correct it. Without that, I mean, you can come up with Obama, whoever that need to come together and hold meeting, but they holding a meeting, but to me, they meeting with the wrong guy. They need to be meeting with the man with God. And put him first. If people would only fear God, this wouldn't be going on. So how do the country come together in our healing process to come together and say, let's put God first? And you fear God, you wouldn't do these things. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's not simple. But what I'm saying to you is Reverend D, is that the 1% is always the news. The news always gonna report what the 1% do, because you got any young man could go out and kill somebody. It's all over the news. They make everything a terrorist. One guy do something, but they don't count the 50 like in I think city of Chicago. I think like 14,000 people a week get killed. A month. And they don't report that. You don't hear no kind of reporting that. If one person get killed, they pick every news channel, Fox, CNBC, all of them. I think they'll call a meeting and they report the same thing. And like the young man that killed 3 policemen, I mean, over 300 people got killed last night. There's no report on that. So we as citizens of we got to learn to say the majority win,
Yeah. Well, you know,
not the
Charles,
3%.
right. And it seems as though they control what goes on. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by calling 504-341-8255. We're so happy to have a special guest sharing with us today, Gail Scott Gillespie. She was the past president of the East Bank NAACP for 10 years. Gail.
Hi, good morning. Um, First, I'd like to say that my heart goes out to the family of the officers that were murdered, and as well as the victims that were killed by police. God is first in my life. Too bad it's not first in a lot of Americans' life. In this country, there is no fairness in the judicial system. Because if it were, police officers would be made accountable for what they do. It's too much cover up. See, we have police that were killed for trying to do their job, but then you're riding along in your car, minding your own business, and you get pulled over for nothing. And the next thing you know, you're dead. You had a gun. Everybody had a gun. So what I'm saying is there are a lot of officers that are out there that I love dearly, but there are a lot of bad cops, just like there are a lot of bad teachers, a lot of bad doctors. Each profession, everybody's not 100%. But in this situation that we have now, the Supreme Court, the White House, our politicians, they need to make a decision about what they're going to do about making police officers be accountable for what they've done.
That's right.
And you don't hear that on the news. Nobody want to talk about it. Everybody want to come together and talk and see what we can do. It needs to start at the top. The top is saying nothing as far as I'm concerned, because I don't see any changes. Now, they talk about the military. Quite a few people talk about what transpires in the military, and you're African American. So that's nothing new. But then it's also being said that the KKK are police officers. So, and it's not what I'm saying, is what the news media is reporting. The only way this country is going to heal, we have to be fair. And our system is not a fair system.
You know, one of the things that Charles brought up that I want to address. I'm tired of going to meetings.
Me too.
You know, I mean, it's almost to the point when things happen, let's come together and just have a meeting and just talk about it. I'm happy for the Church Without Walls because we are not just going to have meetings. We are going to go into the community because I'm not afraid to go into the community. I know Charles is not afraid to go into the community. I know Dr. Williams is not afraid. I know Gail is not afraid. We want to go into the community because, as I've said in the past, we are preaching in the churches, but ain't nobody in the church killing nobody. These are not the guys that's out here with guns. And don't get me wrong, some churches may have people with guns in order to protect the church, but there is nobody in my church out here killing anybody. So the people that have to hear the message is not in the church. So why are we still meeting, talking about it? How do the healing begin? Because I think we all will agree, not only us, but I think our listening audience will also agree that it's the people outside of the realm of God. We have to go to a commercial break right now. You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart.
This is Tanya Free. We started this week, as we have so many times, talking about violence with the loss of 3 more police officers, this time in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. While we continue to experience violence and chaos here and around the world, the Republican National Convention kicks off in Cleveland, Ohio, an open carry firearm state. The party that stands against gun control now seems to want to suspend the open carry law during the convention. Really? These stories and more this Wednesday on the Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show, 2 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Central.
Join Tanya Free and Friends at TanyaFree.com. On air, online, and on point.
The New Orleans Talk Network has added hundreds of listeners to our email database. But we don't have you. Make sure that you are in the know by sending us your email address. Go to the NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and send us your email contact so that we can send you action matters, community events, show topics, and a whole lot more. Go to the contact page and email us today your address. That's NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Go to the contact page, send us that email address today.
Hi, my name is Remus Bowman, and we are here to discuss you and your credit. This would be an informative hour discussing your credit options and how you can achieve a good credit rating in just a matter of 3 to 6 months, and the removal of bad or incorrect information. Again, my name is Remus Bowman, your good credit advisor. Join me every Monday on New Orleans Talk Network.
Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero, always delivering the best food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a reason why people keep returning to Wags. The food's always hot, great portions, and it's just down home good. Call ahead to order in advance at 504-348-3080. That's 504-348-3080. And let Larry know that you heard about Wags on the New Orleans Talk Network. Call him now. Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero.
The mic up. You are listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. Today we are talking about how do the healing begin. We're talking about the issues with the deputies being killed in Baton Rouge and Dallas, and also the victims that was also killed in Baton Rouge and other parts of the state, because I just don't want to deal with Baton Rouge, but there have been other places that this has happened. One thing that we talked about during the break, and we're going to talk about that now, is mental illness, because we are finding out that there are people that they are known to have mental illness, yet it is so easy for them to go out, purchase a gun, have it in their possession, and nobody seems to want to deal with that issue. One of the things that's very disturbing to me, Dr. Williams, is that why do a citizen with a mental illness need an AK-47?
It's not that they need it. It's just the fact that they want to exercise their right to have it, and they feel like it's fashionable. You know, they feel like that it has more power, and that if someone comes against them, that they would have more power to deal with them. But in dealing with the mental illness issue, we need to understand that we have policemen that are on the force that have mental issues, that have anger issues, and they are not addressing those issues with them. And so therefore they allow them to have mental issues, and they allow them to do legalized murdering.
Yes. We have a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Go ahead. This is Reverend D. Dunn, A Church Without Walls.
How you doing, Reverend?
I'm fine. You just got cut off. I can't hear you. I can't hear the caller at this time. Go ahead, Gail, and we'll get right back to the caller.
When Bobby Jindal was in office, he made sure that we no longer had access to the mental institutions in Louisiana. He shut them down, the majority of them anyway. So people that had problems, like you see a lot of homeless people on the street, they have mental problems with nowhere
Hello?
to go.
Yes. Oh, hold that thought, Gail.
Okay.
We have a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, how you doing this morning? Can you hear me now, Reverend Dunn?
Yes, uh-huh.
Good morning. Charles Stewart had asked me to give a call this morning just to let you guys know that one of our good friends passed last week, who was very active in the Jefferson Parish civic community, and I just wanted out to give some condolences to the family.
Okay.
It was Mr. Melvin Walker.
Marvin who?
Melvin Walker.
Melvin Walker. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Walkertown
Okay.
in Marrero is named after his family.
Okay. All right.
The Walker family was one of the, if not the first, African American family to settle in Marrero in the early 19th century parish. So, and Melvin was instrumental in getting the Walker designation historically declared for that area. And now, in fact, you have one of the streets called Walkertown Way
Right.
in Marrero. That's named after his family. His family was very active in the civil rights movement starting in the 1920s in Jefferson Parish, and had been active all the way up to we started getting black elected officials in Jefferson Parish in the early 1990s.
Well, caller, we really appreciate that. And from the New Orleans Talk Network, A Church Without Walls Foundation, we would also like to send our condolences to the Melvin Walker family. I know one of the streets here in Marrero is named after him, Walkertown. So we're so happy that you called and gave us that information. And if anything that we can do, because remember, this is a community network show. The New Orleans Talk Network, A Church Without Walls. So again, our condolences goes out to Melvin Walker, to his family. Thank you so much, caller, for that information.
Also, hey, Gail, you calling from Washington, D.C., huh?
Yes, I am.
Okay, just want to thank you for calling in, and I know we're coming in loud and clear there, so tell a friend about us down here in New Orleans.
Yeah, I enjoyed the show. I've been listening for the last several weeks there, and I really appreciate what Brother Donald Jones is doing in your show. And I think you guys are an important link to the community and getting information out there. And I wish you all the best. And if there's anything that we can do to support what you're doing, it's definitely forthcoming.
I don't want to be getting ahead of myself, but I kind of think that you own a couple companies, and I kind of want to believe that one of those companies is going to be a sponsor, right?
Yes, in fact, we're working on that right now. We're working on the language and getting the right data together to make sure it's an effective program. I think that we are a lot of my clients, in fact, are in Louisiana, and we've been able to help a lot of people. And your station seems like it attracts people who are looking for, who are looking out for a helping hand. And they look to your network and to your show to get bits and things that can help improve their lives. Okay. So we've got something that we think we can help people with, and we hope to get that on probably in the next couple of weeks or so.
Okay, we really appreciate it, AJ, and God bless you. Thank you for calling, and we're gonna let everybody down here know that you provide a service, although you in Washington, but also you have a company here that you can help them, because I know a few people that you've been a great help to, and anybody that have a tax problem, you're the man.
Yeah, well, the IRS, they got long arms. They said your arms are too short to pop the sky.
Okay.
Brother B, what's his name? AJ, brother AJ Gilmore. We are so happy that you are one of our a part of our listening audience. We thank you for putting it out there that you will be sponsoring us, because that's what we're about. We are not about us. We're about the community, and that's what the Church Without Walls Foundation is all about, letting the community voice be heard. We know that the community have the solution to our problems, and we want to hear it, but we don't want to talk. We also want to go out in the community and make a difference. Thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate it.
And one other thing before we hang up, Reverend Dunn, I just want to thank you for all your service from all your days back in Kenner, all the way from the days when you were one of our early appointees to the library board.
Yes.
You've been serving a long time, and you've been a great warrior, and congratulations, and thank you so much for all that you've done for our community.
Well, it's my pleasure to serve the people. That's really what's in my heart, and I thank God that that's a hard thing for me. But thank you anyway for pumping that in, because a lot of times, even when you do things, you never really get a thank you. You never hear a lot of the positive things, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Tell Obama I say hello, yeah?
Okay, I sure will.
You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a Church Without Walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by dialing 504-341-8255. Our topic for today is, how do the healing begin? We are dealing with so much going on in our community. Right now, Gail, you were talking before the caller called, and we were talking about mental illness and what's going on with that.
Well, apparently nothing, because people are still walking around all over the city that do have mental illness. And I know one particular lady, oh God, I've tried to talk to her several times about trying to get her some help. And she walks around the causeway, she walks around the streets, and that individual have a problem, because she'll just fall on the ground. But she doesn't want any help, but she really needs help. And with the institutions that are closed, I don't know what the governor is going to do in reference to that. And then you got these people, like I said, some police officers, they don't have a lot of training. And they need to have training about people. That there are other people other than white Americans. We have Chinese people, we have Asian people, we have African Americans. You just can't be biased against people. But those are people that, like Charles said, that don't fear God. Because if they did, they wouldn't have a bias in their soul at all. I know we don't always agree. Nobody's going to always agree with everything you say. But people need to wake up. This is 2016. And that killing that you saw in Baton Rouge, that's not the end of that. People are hurting. They are really hurting. And everybody doesn't have a mental issue, but there are a lot of people out there that do have mental issues. And the first thing they think of is retaliation. And that retaliation, as you can see, it wasn't a race thing because one of the guys that was killed was African American.
Correct.
So we need to change the system in this country, or it's not getting better. Trust me, it is not getting better. It is getting worse.
You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We need to go to commercial break at this time, but we will be back talking about how do the healing begin.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hi, my name is Remus Bowman, and we are here to discuss you and your credit. This would be an informative hour discussing your credit options and how you can achieve a good credit rating in just a matter of 3 to 6 months, and the removal of bad or incorrect information. Again, my name is Remus Bowman, your good credit advisor. Join me every Monday on New Orleans Talk Network.
Crown Properties Incorporated, development and property management specialists, specializing in commercial and residential properties. With over 20 years experience, we specialize in property management, tenant placement, rent collection. We also manage single group housing. We have a full-time maintenance staff, 24-hour emergency on-call services, and we're fully licensed and insured. Let us do all the work while you receive the monthly checks. At Crown Properties Incorporated. For more information, call 504-366-4001. That number again is 504-366-4001. Or come visit us at 405 Gretna Boulevard, Suite 109, Gretna, Louisiana. Crown Properties Incorporated. For all your property management needs. You be the investor. We'll be the landlord. Crown Properties Incorporated.
Bethesda House of Prayer. Bethesda is a church for non-traditional worshipers, a church designed for those who love God's word. Would you like to attend a church where believers and non-believers can choose to worship together? A church where cultural differences does not get in the way of God's message. We invite you to be our special guest. Our services begin 9 a.m. on Sunday, located at 7601 West Bank Expressway, Suite B, Marrero, Louisiana. For more information, contact us at 504-348-0132.
Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero, always delivering the best food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a reason why people keep returning to Wags. The food's always hot, great portions, and it's just down home good. Call ahead to order in advance at 504-348-3080. That's 504-348-3080. And let Larry know that you heard about Wags on the New Orleans Talk Network. Call him now. Wags Food and Culture at 1601 Plaza Drive in Marrero.
We're back. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can also stream us live on Facebook. Just go to the New Orleans Talk Network, or you can get in on the conversation by calling 504-341-8255. Today we are talking about how do the healing begin? We're so happy to have Sharon with us, Elder Dr. Glenda Williams, and also our special guest, Gail Scott Gillespie. She was the past president of the East Bank NAACP for 10 years. So during the commercial break, I just want to bring in this one announcement. Don't forget the Church Without Walls Foundation. We're having an all-white affair on Saturday. That's this month, July the 30th, 2016, from 6 until. We'll be featuring Norris Byers, and we will have a talent showcase and food. It will be held at 7601 West Bank Expressway. Tickets are only $25. You can come in and meet Charles and myself personally, talk to us about issues, but you would also be entertained. You can call me on my cell, 504-606-7754, or you can call Charles at 504-957-6392. That's an all-right affair on Saturday, July the 30th, 2016, from 6 until, featuring Norris Byers, and we will have a talent showcase and food. And it will be held at 7601 West Bank Expressway. The tickets are only $25. During the break, even before the break, one thing that I said that I'm tired of more meetings. And so, this is really should be a call to action and not just another meeting. And one of the things that we talked about, Dr. Williams want to talk about, things are just not getting better. A lot of the programs that they had during the summer, manpower and things of that nature, those things were very important. And it seemed as though the important things seem to be the things that get cut, Dr. Williams.
Well, the part of that problem is that we, and I say we as the African American community, because I address that because I'm part of the African American community, is that we continue to recycle the same politicians that are not doing anything for our communities. If you have a politician that has sat and served for you in 4 years and 8 years and 12 years, but your community is still in the same state that it was when you elected him, and the reason, or her, you elected them is because they promised to do changes. They promised to make an impact in your community. And if they've had 4 years, if they've had 8 years, they have made no impact into your community, why would you continue to recycle them? Not only do you recycle them, but you recycle their proteges. You recycle whoever they recommend to get into that office, knowing that they're only asking for you to vote for these people so that the power can continue to stay in their hands. And though the power is in their hands, they're not utilizing that power to make any impact in the changes in the community.
Right. I remember in 2014 when I was involved in the election in Kenner. I ran for Kenner City Council. And one of the things that I asked during one of the interviews, and they asked me, well, what impact that you would make? I said, one of the things I will do if elected is bring back manpower. Everybody agreed, and all of these people was at the table, but that's all. It was just another meeting. And I think that we as a people, we ought to be tired of having another meeting. Gail.
For the last couple of months, I've been going to the parish trying to get jobs for our kids for the summer, to no avail. You had to either be 18 to 25 or you had to be 18 to 21. We have numerous kids all over the street, and they want to know why our children keep getting in trouble. Well, I pay taxes. Why isn't my money being utilized to help these kids? When we had manpower, our kids had jobs. The Republicans came in and took over. We have nothing, nothing, nothing for our children. I talked to the film industry, to a lady, and I was trying to find out why our kids couldn't learn production, as well as being a grip or learning how to do the electrical work. And the lady told me that the parish pays for some kids to learn how to be a grip and learn how to do electrical work, but not production. So I said, why doesn't anybody know about that? In the Black community, we didn't know anything about that. So I'm still trying to get some jobs for our kids. I mean, you got these kids running around the street. The next thing you know, here comes the police. So you know what that means. They're finding other things to do in their spare time or without, you keep trying to talk to these kids, but they need something to do. They've taken that from us. So our kids are loose on the street. How many white kids in the community do you see on the street? They have something to do. Our kids don't have anything to do.
You know, Gail, I remember Tyler Perry doing an interview, and he was talking, somebody asked about why did he move his production studio to Atlanta. But one of the things that Tyler Perry said, he said, I hired everybody. I taught them what I needed them to do. I hired as many people as I could. He wasn't just dealing with the Black community.
Right.
He was dealing with the white community, the Hispanic community, anybody that wanted to get off the street and work. He hired them. He told them what to do. You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. You can get in on the conversation by calling 504-341-8255. We have a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I was listening to the show.
Uh-huh.
And I heard Miss Gail say something I thought was interesting. And in this dialogue, one oftentimes it's hard to solve a problem by looking at both sides of it. One of the problems is that people are starting to lose trust in our institutions. And once the people start to lose trust in institutions, then they take the law and everything else into their own hands.
Caller, can you lower your
radio? I don't know if anyone has ever thought about this, but one solution may be to set up a special prosecutor in each state, whereby if someone has a problem with a police or something that is highly abnormal, then instead of going to the local DA or to the sheriff's office to investigate it, you can have that special prosecutor independently look into that issue. And that may restore some integrity to the fact that people believe, as one of your callers suggested, that people are being murdered and no action are taken as it relates to the police officer. So we got to look at both sides of the issue. One, we condemn all violence and attack on police officers, but we also need to condemn the attack on young African-American males that's being lost in the discussions. And if we don't attempt to restore integrity to the system, people are going to continue to take things in their own hands.
Right. Caller, let me say this. In my heart, I really feel like one of the problems, or one of the things that the politicians can put into place, because they find money for everything else, is to really have a liaison between the community and the police department, because there was a liaison when I was chairman of Cops and Clergy early on during the time, I think before Harry Lee passed away. But I have always wanted to be a liaison because of the fact that, you know, I know both sides, and that makes a difference, because if they're not going to want to talk to the police department, but they would talk to someone of my caliber who they would trust to help go back and try to build a bridge, these walls between the community and the police department. But if there is no trust, if you really don't trust the police, people are not going to the police. And so you have things that's going on that I feel in my heart that they would tell somebody else, but they would not really go and tell the police. Gail, you want to answer that?
Well, like I was saying, that if the federal government doesn't do anything about police accountability, nothing is going to change. Just what you saw the other day, that will continue to happen because, I mean, you keep killing us and nothing is done. Who do you talk to?
And that's why I suggest that each state has a special prosecutor independent of the local government, independent of the state government. And when you have these incidents, it goes to that special prosecutor to be investigated because, as Ms. Gales is saying, when there's no accountability for rogue, and not all police officers, those rogue police officers, because they have blue on to assassinate these young men, if there's no accountability, then people are going to start to take things into their own hands and the institutions break down. That's one solution that you can do almost overnight. The president and the Congress can set up and allocate resources to put special prosecutors in all 50 states and let these issues go to the special prosecutor who's independent. And now you have a sense of justice, or a sense of that the system now is not looked against you, and automatically if your child is killed or something happens, because the guy is in blue, he's never prosecuted.
Right. And let me say this. Sheila, one of our she's a part of our listening audience. She listens every week, but she's on her job, so she can't call in. So Sheila sent us a text, and Sheila said, until the people take fear out of the equation, because there is fear right now on both sides. There's fear of the black man being killed by police, and there's also a fear of a black man killing the police. So that fear has to be done away with. And Carla, I definitely agree with you. There need to be an independent person. Now, if they want solutions, they need to listen to the New Orleans Talk Network, a Church Without Walls, that's putting these things out there. If we are in the community, we know what the community needs. Dr. Williams.
But thank you guys for taking my call. I just was listening, and I just thought that a solution would be to get that special prosecutor in each state. I want to thank you guys for the job that you're doing.
We really, really appreciate that. And we're going to try to take this away from the table of just talking. And when we speak to our elected officials, ask them to put this out there for the people. Dr. Williams?
I just want to thank the caller because I've been preaching that for years. Even when we started the National Congress of Black Women here in Jefferson Parish, Dr. E.15 Williams, which is the national leader for National Congress of Black Women, we've been preaching that each state, each city needs to have an independent prosecutor, someone that is going to come in and not be biased, someone that does not have political connections to the DAs and to the judges and stuff within that city, someone that can come in with a real truth and say that I'm going to investigate this matter, I'm going to handle this matter in the way that it should, so that we all can get justice. Because the justice system was not just created for the Caucasian, it was not just created for the Asian, it was created for all Americans, and we have the right to be protected.
And you know, Dr. Williams, one thing that I really wish that people that is a U.S. citizen, you know, I would like to see, as some of the other nationalities have done. If you are a U.S. citizen, why do we have to be Black America, White American, Asian American, Spanish America? Why can't we just be Americans. Because when you go to a Black American, a white American, an Asian American, you are really dividing your own nation. And even the Bible says, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
But that is something, and that is something that you're saying is so true. African American, Asian American, but they never say Caucasian American.
Right.
And to be honest with you, America was not theirs. They came and stole it and took it from another race. You know, so my thing is that we are just Americans. Don't put a stereotype on the word American. Either you are American or you're not.
Right. And I think that that's one of the things to help this healing process, because if you keep saying Black America is against white America, that's division. Charles?
I don't think I want to say, y'all hear it first here on New Orleans Talk Network. We taking it to the street and taking it to the nation, and we want America. We want to take that label off African American. We America.
We Americans.
That's right. Gail?
Well, the sooner the better. The Justice Department gets to start working on giving us some special prosecutors so that they can come in and intervene. Like I said, just sitting down talking about you Black, you white, you Chinese, that's not going to get it. We need someone to intervene that's not going to be biased, that's not going to listen to politicians, but make sure that they have all of the correct facts. Make sure, well, they just passed a law in North Carolina about body cams on police officers. And the only way you could get information from them, you got to go through the sheriff and the detectives before you can get it. We don't want that. We want to try to get America straight, whereas we won't be running from police and police won't be running from us.
And we need real leaders, not sellouts.
Right.
You're listening to the New Orleans Talk Network, a church without walls, hosted by Reverend D. Dunn and Charles Stewart. We would like to thank our special guest, Gail Scott Gillespie, the past president of the NAACP for 10 years, and also sharing with us Dr. Elder Galinda Williams.
Thank you.
Sister Denisha Robinson, we're going to do a shout out to you. We miss you. We know that you are out of town. So we know that when you get back that you will also be sharing with us. And let us not forget about the All White Affair that the Church Without Walls Foundation is having, an All White Affair on Saturday, July the 30th. 6 and Tell featuring Norris Byers, a talent show. Tickets are $25. Charles, what you have to say?
Let's shout out to Wyona Watson. Thank you for listening. And again, we always said no such thing as you half dead. If you're dead, you're dead.
Until next week.